Hello, how y'all doing this week? This is another episode of Natural as F. I'm your host, Dr. Ferrante Frazier. I am a holistic hygienist, and I'm going to be teaching you a natural way to health that you don't have to use medicines, herbs, or remedies. You can free yourself from the grips of the medical complex. I've been teaching hygiene over a decade now. It made a difference in my life. It has made a difference in many people's lives who I was able to teach and share the information with. This platform, Our Black Media, allows us to come up here every Tuesday and teach the conditions for health, the means, how to put the body in an ideal environment where the body can heal itself. You know, most people, when they come looking for a health show or they hear about how can I get over my health issues, they're looking for some type of drug, some type of remedy, some type of herb, some, specialized treatment that the doctor know or something like that. Well, the conditions of health that we teach are conditions that are necessary for growth and development and to allow the body to repair on its own. Not only is this the conditions for health, it's the conditions for recovery when you have lost health. So there's preventive hygiene and there's remedial hygiene. The preventive hygiene is the body protecting itself and living in such a way with the conditions and the means to keep the body from ever getting sick. Remedial hygiene is once the body gets sick, you supply the same conditions, the same means to allow the body to get well and stay well. So the conditions for health is the same in sickness and the same in health. You got to get fresh air. Fresh air is ideal for the sick individual, and it's ideal for the one who is well so that he can stay well. Ideal food is for the sick man to get better, and it's to keep the healthy man strong and from getting sick. Well, hello there, ma'am. How are you doing today?
Healthy and strong. How are you, Dr. Frazier?
I am healthy and strong. Practicing preventive hygiene. That's what I was explaining to our viewers that, we teach preventive hygiene and remedial hygiene, which is still the same thing no matter what it is. The person who want to prevent disease got to eat right, got to breathe right, got to get sleep, got to get exercise. And the person who want to get healthy, well, he got to start eating right. He got to start getting fresh air and stuff like that. So it's still preventive and remedial, but it's the same conditions and needs in both cases towards health. So how was your week, ma'am?
So far, so good, sir. So far, so good. I'm not fasting right now, but I'm also not really eating.
So
Huh.
what is that? So you intermittent fasting?
All is well. Uh-oh. We lost you, Dr. Frazier.
I say, is that intermittent fasting that you're doing?
Uh-oh.
You don't hear me?
I hear you. I hear you now.
Oh, okay. I say, are you intermittent fasting? You still don't
Oh,
hear me
Doc,
now.
this is bad. This is bad, Doc. I could hijack your show at this point.
You are hijacking my show, man.
Oh,
I can
no,
hear
I'm
you.
sorry.
I
Yeah,
can hear you the whole time, and I can see you the whole
okay.
time. But you having
Yes, sir.
problems hearing
Yes, sir.
me?
I was. You're back now. You back.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Well, this show is a feedback from last week, where we were piggybacking from last week, where we were talking about addictions, and for sake purposes, we're going to use you as a client today, if you don't mind. If you allow us using you as a client to see if you're burning out. Um, I did go over the
Okay.
addictive syndrome last week, But we want to show individuals
Right.
how an individual can be burning out in daily lifestyle. Um, see if you're going through different stresses. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to well, do you mind telling us your age? You can hear me?
I don't have no stress.
I said, do you don't have no stress? Oh, telling us your age?
What?
I say you have stress telling us your age?
No, I said I don't have no stress, and I didn't understand that you were asking me for my age. But
Yeah.
I get my 9 this year. In November, I will be the ripe age of 49 years old.
You about to be a half of a century.
Half a century. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I get my
Well, you
9.
look like you just turned 27. You look
Okay,
like
that right. We're gonna
okay.
go for that.
Well, this is a life event stress test that I'm going to go over with you. And all our
Okay.
listeners and viewers, if you have a pen and paper, it'd be good to grab one real quick. I'm gonna give you about 1-2 minutes to go ahead and grab your paper and pen. You can take this stress test along with us, and you can determine how you score at the end of this. So take a minute and go get you a paper and pen. I'm just going to talk to Minister Michaela real quick and give you a minute to two to go get a paper and pen where we can go over this stress test. All right. So you don't have to get a paper and pen, Michaela. I have one available
Okay.
already. I'm going to keep score for you. I just need you to answer.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Yes, sir.
So what we're going to do is, you think it's been about a minute already? You think they should have a paper and pen? Do you think they have a
I don't
paper
think
and
you're
pen?
supposed to ask me any of these questions.
Okay.
Well,
All right. So, well, we're gonna go ahead and start with the This is actually the Holmes and Raya social readjustment scale. This is a model that they put in here to help evaluate life event stress that happens in your life. For example, in the last, let's just say for fun, just curious, in the last year of your life, have you had the death of a spouse?
no.
Okay. And if you as a viewer have had the death of a spouse, I want you to write down 100. All right. Now, have you had divorce in the last year?
Yeah.
All right. Anyone who went through a divorce in the last year, I want you to write down a 73. Marital separation.
How is that different, Doc?
I don't know, but it still got to go down, man. Well,
Okay, so yes.
divorce being you're finished with the person, period. Separation, you just probably just separated for a little time, and they just come back and go, come back and go.
I don't know if I want to do this on the YouTube. Yes, sir. Okay, so yes to both of those.
All right. So 65. Write 65 if you had a marital separation. All right. So let's get off that and go to something else.
Please?
Have you been in jail, a jail term of any length of time?
Never.
Within the last year. Everything is within the last year.
Okay. No.
Right. So if you in the audience have been had a jail length of any length of time within the last year, I want you to write down a 63. All right, death of a close family member. Death of a close family member.
No,
Okay. If you in the audience have had one, I want you to write down a 63. In the end, we're going to add up all these numbers and we're going to find out where your stress level at the end. So have you had a personal injury or illness?
I have not.
All right. If you did in the audience, I want you to write down a 53. All right. Did you get married in the last year?
I did not.
All right. If you in the audience got married in the last year, write down a 50 and add that to the number that you already have already.
Stress.
How about marital reconciliation?
No.
All right. If you're in the audience and you have had you reconciled a marriage, I want you to write down a 45. Did you retire in the last year?
I did not.
If you're in the audience retired, I want you to write a 45 down. A change in family members' health.
Yes.
All right. I want you to write a 44 down if someone in your family member's health had changed. Pregnancy. Did you get pregnant in the last year, Michaela?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. Have you had any sexual difficulties in the last year?
God. Difficulty. See, now you'd have to define difficulty for all of the viewers. For all of the viewers, because that's a different animal for everybody. I'm going to say no for that.
All right, so we're gonna say well, I really don't know how they're actually defining difficulties here either, because it could be difficulties like, hey, it's hard for you to find a person because you're ugly, or it could be,
Oh, Doc.
or it could be that you have a difficulty like I guess it hurts, from having inflammation or weakened like endometriosis going on down there or something like that. Might have problems with lubrication. In men, they have difficulties, getting their erection, maintaining their erection, or something of that nature. Um, so if you do have sexual difficulties, we want you to write down a 39 and add that to your number. All right, addition to the family.
Yes.
All right. If there's an addition to the family, I want you to write down a 39. All right. Business adjustment or
Yes.
business readjustment.
Yes.
All right. So if you had a business readjustment, I want you to write down a 39. Add that to your number. Change in financial status.
Yes.
If you had a change in the financial status, I want you to write down a 38 and add that to your number. Death of a close friend.
In the last year?
Yeah.
No.
All right. If you of the viewers had death of a close friend, I want you to write down a 37 and add that to your number. Change to a different line of work. Change to a different line of work.
Yeah.
All right. If you the viewers, if you had a change in it to a different line of work, I want you to add a 36 to your number. Change in number of marital arguments.
Yes.
If you had a change in the number of marital arguments, I want you to write down a 35 and add that to your number. Mortgage or loan for major purpose.
No.
If you got a new mortgage or loan for some big purpose like a car or something like that in the last year, I want you to write down a 31 and add that to your number. Foreclosure of mortgage or loan.
No.
If you in the audience have had a foreclosure of mortgage or some type of loan, I want you to write down a 30 and add that to your number. Have you had change in work responsibilities in the last year?
Yes.
All right. If you had changes in work responsibilities in the last year, I want you to write down a 29 and add that to your number. Son or daughter leaving home.
No.
All right. If you have a son or daughter leaving home, I want you to write down a 29 and add that to your number. A lot of people believe, that there are the empty nest syndrome. People get stressed when, a person who was living in the house for a long time soon leave off to go to do something. They have that emptiness there. So that does produces a form of stress. All right. Trouble with in-laws.
No.
All right. If you're having troubles with in-laws, I want you to write down a 29 and add that to your number. Outstanding personal achievement.
Yes.
All right. So if you had outstanding personal achievement in the last year, I want you to write down a 28 and add that to your number. Spouse begins or stops work.
No.
If your spouse begun or stopped working in the last year, I want you to write down a 26 and add that to your number. Started or finished school within the last year.
No.
Huh?
No.
All right. If
No.
you in the audience have started school or finished school within the last year, I want you to write down a 26 and add that to your number. Change in living conditions.
Yes.
All right. If you had a change in living conditions, in living conditions, I want you to write down a 25 and add that to your number. A revision of personal habits.
Yes.
All right. If you had a revision of personal habits, I want you to write down a 24 and add that to your number. Trouble with the boss.
No.
All right. If you had trouble with the boss in the last year, I want you to write down the 23 and add that to your number. I know some of us got some high numbers around here by now. I know mine would be really high.
It seems like mine pretty high.
Change in work hours and or conditions.
Yes.
All right. If you had change in work hours and or conditions, I want you to write down a 20 and add that to your number. Change in residence.
No.
All right, if you had change in residence in the last year, I want you to write down a 20 and add that to your number. Change in schools.
No.
If you had a change in schools, I want you to write down a 20 and add that to your number. Change in recreational habits.
No.
If you had a change in recreational habits in the last year, I want you to write down a 19 and add that to your number. Change in church activities.
No.
If you had a change in church activities, I want you to write down an 18 and add that to your number. Had a mortgage or a loan for like a TV or something of a smaller nature.
A loan. Small thing. What I bought? A loan for nothing. Let's go with yes. I'm always buying something. Yeah, I got some bills.
That you have tied that you have to pay on a monthly, like it's
Yes.
going to add a little stress to your life. If you got a lesser purchase, like a lesser loan or mortgage, I want you to write down a 17 and add that to your number. Change in sleeping habits.
Yes.
All right. If you had a change in sleeping habits over in the last year, I want you to write down a 16 and add that to your number. Change in number of family gatherings.
No.
If you had noticed that there's been a change in the number of family gatherings that you have been attending or your family have been having, I want you to write a 15 down and add that to your number. Change in eating habits.
No.
If you
Well, you
notice
know
that
what?
you,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, if you had a change in eating
Yeah.
habits, I want you to write down a 15 and add that to your number. Vacation.
Or lack thereof. No.
If you had a vacation or lack thereof in the last year, so everybody got to write this one down. That's the case. I want you to put a 13 down there and add that to your number. Have you had a minor violations of the law?
I have not.
If you had a minor violation of the law or run in with the law in the last year, I want you to write down an 11. All right. Now that is it. I know that was a long little stress test. It actually took up over 15, almost 20 minutes of our time here. And we still got a lot of teaching to do. So we got a whole nother next week to do some more teachings on procrastination, adrenaline, stress, emotional balance, and all that's being taught in this series of teaching. But in here, I'm going to give you the guidelines. I'm going to give everybody a couple of minutes to add up all their numbers. I'm going to tell you, Michaela, you got a number at 554. Your number came up to 554. All right. Now, are
Okay.
you curious to know what are the parameters that you need to be in to see what they consider stress levels you have?
Please. Yes.
Well, let me explain what they're trying to say. It's not that you actually should be stressed out, but what this test proves is that you may have a risk. It shows your probability of having a stress related sickness or disease from all the stress that's being put on your body from things that's just happening. If you had to endure all this within the last year's time, that's a lot of energy you had to put out towards dealing with that stress, and that can weaken your body and produce some type of sickness or illness in your body. Does that make a little more sense of what this stress, why this stress was asking a lot of the questions it was asking?
I think so. I mean, I like tests, so I'd like to. I'm gonna look at this after we're done. But so, what's the range from what to what?
I'm
Because
glad
I'm
you
at
asked.
5 something. I'm anxious though.
I'm glad you asked. All right, for y'all who listening, hopefully you done added up your numbers, and if you want to share it with us, go ahead and just put up the number on the screen, and our producer let it be up there. But just poke it on in there. But I want you to know if it's less than 150, well, yours at 554, Michaela. But if it was less than 150,
Hmm.
you have less than a 30% chance of developing a stress related illness in the next 2 years. So, those who
Okay.
put all theirs together, you have a 30% chance of you have less than a 30% chance of developing a stress related illness in the next 2 years. So, if you are between 150 and 300, you have a 50% chance of developing a stress related illness in the next 2 years. So that means we still above that 50%, Michaela. And I'm talking to you like
I
how I talk with the clients, right? But I'm going to show you how this different when we get to the end. You know what I'm saying? Because you, on the other hand, you do some other techniques that can help conserve your energy and stuff like that. But however, the regular client who come to us, they don't practice hygiene like you do and stuff like that. Even though these stresses may come into your life, if you living in such a way, you'll be able to ride that wave when they come in and they don't affect you in the manner that. But I'm showing you because I don't have these other people up here to show this to. You know what I'm saying? So don't take it too much into the strength, because you know how to ride the wave in your lifestyle, because your lifestyle will support these different stresses that come in your life that you had no control over. Now, if you have some control over these things, then you can take that stress out of your life. But these are stress events that you have no control over. They just happen, and it'll show you how much that the chance of you developing a stress-related illness in the next 2 years, especially if you're living the regular standard way of living, and don't have no regards for conservation of energy,
hmm
eating right and different things of that nature. So, this is something when I go talking to a client, I kind of figure out what their sickness is, what their, why they may be suffering the illnesses they're suffering from because of the events that done happened in their life that done been squandering away all their energy. And then I can start telling them, hey, if you can, and
hmm
tell, these stresses is inevitable. These events, they're gonna show up. People gonna die, in our life and stuff like that. So events gonna happen. You know, um, we need to have enough energy to be able to, you know, be able to ride out those stresses when they come into our day-to-day life. So it says 300 and higher, you have an 80% chance of developing a stress-related illness in the next 2 years. All right. Now that is a big percentage. I'm gonna go ahead and close up my book. So for our listeners out here, between under 150, you have a 30% chance of developing a stress-related illness. Between if you scored between 150 and 300, you have a 50% chance of developing a stress-related disease in the next 2 years. If it's above 300 and higher, you have an 80% chance of developing a stress-related disease within the next 2 years. Now, this is why it's so important that you live in such a way. Now, these, like I said, these probabilities are for people who are living just, their normal lives and, destructive lives and stuff like that, who are not practicing natural hygiene. That's why natural hygiene makes it more feasible for you to be able to live under certain stresses. Even though those stresses are appearing, they won't start tearing down your body. Your body will have the necessary energy to deal also with the stresses of life and not be poisoned under some burdensome toxins because your body don't have the energy to free itself of the waste. Your body can't deal with healing itself and the stresses outside in life. That's why you see a lot of people when, they can live okay, but soon as some stress happen in their life, they just break down like that because their body don't have the energy to deal with both the poisonous lifestyle and the stressful event that just came out of nowhere. And if that stress lingers for a long period of time and their habits, you see that person suffer and die out real quick. So that's why we're telling you, even if you are going through a stressful lifestyle, you can be able to curtail your body from breaking down and suffering with illnesses if you can live a hygienic lifestyle. That's why hygiene is one of the most practical, most perfect ways to incorporate in your life where you don't have to suffer sickness even when life around you is chaotic. Does that make sense now?
Burning down. Absolutely.
Burning
It
down.
makes perfect sense to me, Doc. You know that. Yeah, it makes perfect
Excellent.
sense.
Well, I thank you for letting me use you as a client today. Sorry I had to expose certain things.
Hey, hey, hey. I'm an open book. I'm a open book.
That's why we want our clients and the viewers, we want you to, if you are not willing to, be here every Tuesday and listen to what we talk about natural hygiene, and you need a more in-depth and you need more hands on hands, you can contact us at 912-227-9335, or you can go to our website at heal.me /FF. And you see the number is on the screen now, 912-227-9335. And we want you to go to the website heal.me /FF. And you can get in contact with us and we can help, run these same tests with you, show you how to overcome the problems that you have in your life to give you a better outlook on, even getting rid of the stresses in your life. It's the way you look at those stresses that burn you out as
Right.
well. If you
Right.
can learn some antidotes that we have, the forgiveness antidote, the gratitude antidote, we got all kind of antidotes to help you um, get out of the stress. We got the love antidote, the faith factor
Mhm.
antidote, the exercise. Even exercise can help release stress. We've heard that before. You know,
Mhm.
visualization. Visualizing different. It's a bunch of different antidotes that we can use to help you overcome that situation. Now, if you noticed last week, we were talking about stresses and addiction. And if you remember the addiction that we used, the definition for addiction, it was an addiction is any process over which we are powerless. It takes control of us, causes us to do and think things that are inconsistent with our highest personal values, and leading us to become progressively more compulsive and obsessive. A sure sign of an addiction is the sudden need to deceive ourselves and others, to lie, deny, and cover up. If you have to lie, deny, and cover up something you're doing and don't want nobody else to see it, it's something that has a hold over you. And you might not be doing the right thing. It's not, you don't value it as your higher self, because it's something, your higher self, you let all the world to see. In the Bible, Jesus said, man who has a light, he don't cover it up. He set it up for all men to see.
Mhm.
But when you
Mhm.
cover up darkness, because darkness is covering up itself, you know.
Mhm.
So we we see that even in job burnout, we see that most people tend to go after addictive things when they're going through burnout. So what we're going to do is now show you that a lot of the things that you're addicted to is because you're reaching what we call burnout. Now I'm going to show you the burnout in a job format, but you can apply this burnout to anything in your life. You can be a church member being overused in church and burnt out, and it'll cause
Mhm.
you to reach for some addictive substance to give you more stimulation to keep up with the work. It could be in school
Mhm.
where our kids are going and they're getting burnt out in school, and they, reach for stimulants to keep them to progressively go. Any demand on us can cause us to eventually reach a state of burnout where we start reaching for stimulants that keep us going a little further, a little further, and a little further. And those stimulants might be anything. Those stimulants might be everything from, a hot Cheeto fry. A lot of people don't think that
Mhm.
that's stimulating.
Mhm.
But that can very well, we know that can get a child to do right, a little candy, some cookies and stuff. We can stimulate them to do some good stuff. You can do a dog like that, a treat, or make him go sit down and jump him, roll over, and all type of stuff. you know so sometimes we'll burn ourselves out and do the most to get some more of our stimulating addictive substances or habits. Men, they'll go out of their way and do some dumb stuff just to, spend a little more time with a woman. you know. So we eventually reach a state of burnout. But we're going to talk about that when we come back from the break. We'll be right back.
Transformative, that's what Sonya Jackson is. Creative, that's what Sonya Jackson is. Compassionate, that's what Sonya Jackson is. Leadership, that's what Sonya Jackson demonstrates. Dedicated, that's what Sonya Jackson is. Chatham County, there's never been a tax commissioner like Sonya Jackson. She has made the office more accessible, more consistent, more convenient, and more service friendly. Let's keep Sonya Jackson while she takes the tax commissioner's office to new heights. On May 21st, cast your vote for a great public servant. Vote Sonya Jackson for tax commissioner.
Welcome back. We're going to start the 5 stages of job burnout. All right. And I want to thank all those who've been following us with Savannah Natural Health over the last decade, who were coming and allowing us to teach them the ways of health and how they would allow their bodies to heal and repair naturally. And we're so thankful for this platform for allowing us to put out this information as well. Hopefully, we're reaching a lot of people on how, and we're getting a lot of feedback about people who implementing these ways of health, and their body is getting 100% better without the use of medicine. They're getting off their drugs. They're, starting to see again, getting out of their, wheelchairs and off their crutches, throwing away their glasses. All type of so-called treatments and stuff are becoming less needed when they start implementing the true ways of health. And this is a beautiful thing. And we're going to talk about that in some later shows. We got so much information to share with our, listeners, viewers, and those who want to hear more about holistic health and healing. We can talk about this thing for, decades in the future and never really hit on the same thing to help you understand more and more about the wonderful human body ability to heal itself and repair itself when we put it in the ideal environment and conditions for health. So we're talking about the 5 stages of burnout now. And remember what I told you, we're going to talk about it as in a job setting, but just imagine we can be applied to anything. Like, for example, the health seeker's occupation or job is often, his or her greatest source of stress, next to being unemployed. But working at a dissatisfying job can be the biggest aggravation in life. As the work condition continues to worsen, you will suffer, uh, the progressive stages of burnout. Now, that's the same thing with, a relationship. The relationship can sometimes be your greatest source of stress as well, next to being without anybody, without being in a relationship, without having a husband, without having a wife, without having a girlfriend, without having a boyfriend. Some people are real stressful that they don't have somebody in their life. Then some people who have somebody in their life have it real stressful because of the people in their life, and they're burning out. And we're going to show you as you go down, it worsens. And burnout becomes even worse the lower you go into the stages of burnout. Stage 1 is job contentment. And we can say this in stage 1, you have relationship commitment. The worker or the relationship or the person in the relationship loves the job or loves the person there, would love the relationship. He or she is enthusiastic and energetic. You see that at the beginning of relationships. You don't see them sitting there fussing and fighting and doing all kind of stuff that you see at the end of the relationship. At the beginning of the relationship, eyes wide open, fully in love, cooking and taking you out, bringing roses and flowers and all different stuff. Same stuff when you start a new job. You're there on time. You're friends with everybody on the job. You know what I'm saying? You haven't yet to, start having conversations about this person or saying I don't like the manager and all this type of stuff. You're so excited about the job. You want the job so much. You're at this is you're energetic. Everything appears to be going well. In reality, however, discontented work is overdoing it, approaching workaholism, and squandering adaptation or nerve energy. This overzealous worker will soon approach innovation. So the more zeal that you have at the beginning, you're overdoing it. Instead of you doing your 2 pallets a day, you're doing 4 pallets to look good at the job and stuff like that. You're overdoing it because you just started that. You got all this energy you're putting into the job. And they love it. They say you're working good, but you're burning yourself out. You're overworking yourself instead of just, and the people around you who working with you, they looking at you like, why are you doing all this extra? But you just like, you got the energy to do it. You got the excitement. You got the euphoric feeling. You got all this energy, this new energy because it's something new, but you're burning yourself out. Same thing in relationships as well. Stage 2 is fuel shortage. The worker is running out of gas. He begins to wear down, to complain of tiredness, lack of energy, and fatigue. Soon his productivity drops. He may start missing work. He experiences jadedness, cynicism, and decreased creativity. He avoids making decisions and may become accident prone. At this stage of burnout, many start taking energy draining stimulants and drugs to keep up the pace. The burnout candidate has reached toxemia and irritation. So here we see at stage 2, you've done ran out of gas. You run out of energy. All right? You done burn out. So now you start being a little more, have cynicism going on, where you're like, like you're making excuses for why you're not doing what you're doing. The boss is a jackass. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna do the 4 pallets like I used to. You're gonna find fault in the job. You're looking for fault. You're finding fault everywhere around you where you can explain why you're not performing like you once were. Um, you're not going to be so creative as you once were, because you lost the energy. You done squandered it all up at stage 1. So what you might do is you might take some type of supplement, some drug or something like that, or you might even be food, some unnatural activity that gives you that adrenaline again. We really didn't go over adrenaline yet. Adrenaline is what, puts you in that fight or flight response. The heart beats faster. You get more blood to the limbs, to the eyes, and different parts of your body to help you with fight or flight. But that means that you can be more productive and do more when you're constantly in an adrenaline state. But you can only get that is if there's a threat. And that threat can come in the form of stimulants or some unnatural activity that gives you that euphoric feeling to have that boost of energy to be waste again. You're just wasting energy that has been saved in your body for situations where it may be called upon to save your life, or to save somebody else's life, or to carry you long in life. But you're tapping into that savings account of energy to do all this extra stuff. You're squandering and wasting that energy at a very fast rate. And so that's what helps you to be, the Superman, in other words. But once you start using up that energy, and that energy is now affecting organs and tissues in your body and depleting them from being able to function properly, your body is going to uh, put a limitation on your use of that energy. And then you're going to start feeling run down, fatigue, and stuff like that. And you're not going to be able to be as effective as you were in stage 1. But for you to get back to that, because you're going to want to be like you were in stage 1, you're going to reach for something that's going to call out that energy back. That's a stimulant. And you're going to use those stimulants or stimulant activity to pull your energy levels back up. So not pulling it up. What you're doing is you're taking the limitations off what your body had put there. Your body put a limit on your use of that energy. And when you took the stimulant, you took the energy, that limit off, and said, no, I want to keep using it. So, but every time you're using your energy, you're squandering it away, and it's getting lesser and lesser till you eventually reach a state of death. All right. But we haven't gotten to that point yet. So your body is always going to keep putting a limitation. It's going to keep stopping your excessive use of energy because it's trying to survive and thrive as much as possible, even though you're squandering away the energy with all these different stimulants and stuff of that nature. So after stage 2, you go to stage 3. Stage 3 is chronic symptoms. The worker is exhausted. Pain and pathological symptoms of illness begin. Anger and resentment are noted, and productivity falls greatly. The worker social relationships suffer greatly. You may even see uh, um, an increasing stress load on the individual. Although he may continue taking stimulants, They don't give him the pickup, the jerk, the kick, the fix that he was getting when he first started doing it. And he, they pretty much have reached inflammation. When you first start taking these stimulants and these stimulant behaviors and stuff like that, it gives you it take that limit off. You remember? It takes that limit off. And so now you got access to all this energy again. And the body is the body is going to get to a point where it's going to put another cap up there. Even though you took that cap off, it's going to put a cap on the use of wasting energy again. And that the same stimulant that you use to take that first cap off is not going to take that cap off. You're going to need a different stimulant or a stronger stimulant to get the body to allow that cap to come off. That same cap is not going to be able to take that one off again. So you're going to have to go to a new stimulant or a new stimulant behavior. That one is not going to give you the rush, the fix, the kick anymore like how the initial one did. So you go to stage 4. Stage 4 is the burnout crisis. This is where you'll see, we'll start show critical symptoms. We might see obsesses about how miserable our job is and cannot get away from the thoughts that this job is going to destroy us. Might even fantasize about a way of escape. Already thinking about another job or something else you can do already. You just need to get away from this job. But while you're steady continuing to abuse the body and do the very toxic things that 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 take you to the later stages of disease. But now it is possible that we have reached what you call ulceration and induration or hardening. Our body is no longer responding to any poison. It's done waste up all this energy. Now it's trying to throw out the waste. That's ulceration. The body is trying to throw out the waste some type of way. It's just oozing out. It's just leaking out. From all orifices and all kind of stuff, just getting up out of it. And certain cells and tissues in our body have hardened, indurated, have hardened themselves so that we just feel terrible. We feel miserable. Everything about us is just not the same as when we first started. Then we go to stage 5, and this is the final stage. Stage 5 is hitting the wall. The worker finds himself physically and psychologically incapable of getting up and going to work day after day. Some become actually drug addicts at this point. Others opt for a complete mental, physical breakdown. They may become impossible to live with. The burnout victim is on his way to irreversible pathological disease. And that's the 7th stage of disease. But here you see at stage 5 of burnout, you don't even realize that in your life, when you're wasting away your energy and you're, trying to stay in a situation, a job or whatever that's burned you out, a relationship that burned you out, a church that burned you out, or whatever you're around, any environment that has burned you out. You got in that environment first and you was doing great. Next thing you know, you was doing too much that you burned yourself out. And for you to stay in that environment and do something, you kept taking stimulants, and it even wastes your energy even more. You had to keep up the stimulant habit to try to keep up with your production. Now you want to try to just get away from this environment because you feel so terrible. You have no energy anymore. You've hit the wall, and your body has broken down so much that you're suffering. All right. So a lot of our diseases is not just purely on we're eating bad, but stress can be a number one way that you are developing your health issues. I have certain clients that come into my office that, I put them on a healthful eating. I can put them on fruits and vegetables, but they disease still don't go nowhere. Only when I take them away from their stresses, along with eating good, do we see remarkable difference or marked differences in their health. They start seeing their health regenerate. They start seeing their energy recuperate, and they start feeling an overwhelming happiness and peacefulness back in their life. So we still got more to talk about with addiction, stress, and how to overcome the sicknesses that are associated with stress. And we'll be talking about this in our next show that you'll be able to come and check out next Tuesday at 6 o'clock. Make sure you be here. Share with all your friends. Tell them to be here to listen to this. And hit like and follow us on Our Black Media, Natural as Elf. Make sure you get in contact with us if you need us, 101 912 227 9335, or you can go to heal.me/FF. And I love you so much, and I'm looking forward to meeting you right back here next week at same time, 6 o'clock. Best of health and happiness.
I like that.